Kingdom Hearts 1 is one of the most refined and sound action games of all time, having one of the best and some of the best action RPG mechanics, only rivaled by its sequel. Every solitary move, technique, has weight and feel behind each attack. The game has a unique system. Its combat is known by the Japanese as the revenge value system. In the revenge value system, depending on how many times you decide to attack an enemy or a boss, they will retaliate as a desperation move against you to combat you trying to spam them. This would later be expanded upon in its sequel. This game was so special, so grounded, so amazing, with a story that had depth and brilliant storytelling, and a combination of two worlds. This game, touching the hearts of millions around the world, changing action RPG design forever. This revolutionary game gave you a boatload of content, features, attack moves, abilities, and more. The game had multiple worlds and different ways of platforming and means of traversing. The content was insane, so much to do in each world that you had an incentive on traversing and even revisiting them. There are multiple bosses, enemies, secret places, areas, side activities, and secret bosses throughout the whole game. Even when you beat it, it still has the entirety of the World Olympus Coliseum, which has tons of boss fights and content alone. Plus, it has secret bosses hidden throughout the worlds, so it even has endgame content, so the game is virtually timeless, making replayability a huge factor in its gameplay design. The Gumi ship battle, although not perfect, was so impressive for its time, and the customization was amazing, allowing you to freely customize it to your liking, affecting combat and gameplay. The world's so loyal to its Disney counterpart, with the deeper storytelling elements of character development and turmoil. Added, Kingdom Hearts challenged the player with profound philosophical themes and depth, and many worlds and its main story, hidden and even subtle at times, striking you hard with a simple yet effective story that had more layers underneath each time. Seeming simple at first, becoming a more layered story as it progressed with some amazing characterization and charm from the Disney characters' interaction with the Final Fantasy character, original characters, and worlds. So loyal to their characters' worlds and adding to the storyline of the game, with the Disney world making it all the more compelling. The characters feel and act just like they do in the movies, lifted straight from the films and loyal to their worlds. It's amazing seeing these interactions take place. You'll think to yourself, I never knew I always wanted this. As the game traverses further into the worlds and its story, it becomes darker and even more philosophical, with some profound themes and great characterization from its characters. Riku is a strong-willed character with some great moments, and you feel as if you are Sora and want to compete with him. He develops throughout the story and has a storyline so impactful and meaningful. It's incredible. The charm and chemistry between Donald, Goofy, and Sora is iconic and so well written, with some amazing moments, and it's so amazing that their charm and chemistry even plays into the gameplay itself. When they interact with the gameplay, the story interacts with it. The chemistry is actually seen in the gameplay itself. It's incredible. Goofy being the voice of reason, Donald being temperamental, hot-headed, but he has a charm and wit to him, and deep down he's got a good heart. And Sora, pure of heart, but full of spunk, charm, and wit. He's a clever kid, and he's kind of badass. And he's brave and strong. He's one of the most iconic characters ever made. He's so cool and so amazing. He's pure of heart, but the kid's got spunk to him. Some of the best storytelling in the game, spoiler alert, happens to be on Hollow Bastion, when Sora loses the Keyblade. He then stays with Beast, as he has to fight his way through without a weapon, the ultimate test of how his will persevere. One of my favorite scenes of all time is when Riku takes the wooden sword you used on Destiny Islands in the beginning of the game, and says, here, go play hero with this. This iconic scene of incredible character development was outstanding, not only for its time, but for generations. Then, when Sora finds a way to fight through with the beast, Sora sees Riku again, only this time, he is possessed by Ansem. And his friends. They even left him because they have to follow the Key Bearer. They're on a mission that supersedes even friendship. This is great storytelling. Then, when Sora arrives to meet Riku again on Hollow Bastion, he states, quit while you can. No, not without Kairi. Riku/Ansem states, the darkness will destroy you. You're wrong, Riku. The darkness may destroy my body, but it can't touch my heart. My heart will stay with my friends, it'll never die. Really, well, we'll just have to see about that. Sora stands waiting for his moment of truth when Goofy saves him and says, Sora ain't gonna go anywhere. You'd betray your king? Not on your life. But I'm not gonna betray Sora either, because he's become one of my best buddies after all. After this, then Sora states one of the most resonant and profound statements ever made to a character. How will you fight without a weapon? I know now I don't need the Keyblade. I've got a better weapon, my heart. Your heart. What good will that weak little thing do for you? Although my heart may be weak, it's not alone. It's grown with each new experience, and it's found a home with all the friends I've made. I become a part of their heart just as they become a part of mine. And if they think of me now and then, if they don't forget me, then our hearts will be one. I don't need a weapon. My friends are my power. This is some of the most thought-provoking dialogue I ever heard in a game. It's so philosophical and profound and adds to the character and their development too. When it comes to the combat system, you not only see the weight of the attacks, but feel it as you fight. It even affects the enemies and their physics, causing them to stagger. Sequence of attacks even change depending on the situation, such as crowds. If you're in a crowd, the attack will change, reacting to enemies around you. Sora has multiple attack moves and combos he can earn in the game. They affect the combat system in different ways. His attack moves are earned through abilities, and as you level up, you can increase the amount of attack moves. Abilities, limits, combo modifiers, magic, and more. As you level up, everything counts. Magic has a unique effect on the combat system. If you use certain magic on an enemy, it can affect them if they're weak towards it. And they each have their own effect. It's so impactful, has so much fluidity and animation. The combat system is intense, with a lot of emphasis on timing your attacks carefully, and dodging and weaving out of enemy hits. You have to be smart about each attack move, as it's an interactive RPG, so it's happening in real time. Sora has a base combat system, starting off with at least 3 attack moves. They each have weight and movement. It can even stagger enemies, so they are affected physics-wise by his attacks. Then you have abilities, which can even give you new attack moves and special abilities. This impacts the game greatly, changing it completely, adding new mechanisms to magic, combat, and defense. Base attacks, which you can add more of them with Combo Plus. Combo modifiers, limits, magic, summons, abilities. Look at all the features this game has in its combat system design. This game came out in 2002 and it has this much going into its combat? That's incredible. You can even summon Disney characters in-game to help you fight. How immersive. What a beautiful and incredible gameplay mechanic that is so immersive and breathtaking. And it affects combat greatly. So the combat system is so groundbreaking for its time, as unlike Final Fantasy, everything happens in real time, so you have to interact with it in real time. It is some of the most refined action RPG design ever made, with breathtaking boss fights, with incredible mechanics that take skill and focus to really conquer. It's no joke fighting bosses in this game, especially on Expert Mode, Proud Mode, or even Critical in later entries. This game will test your skills at all times, and enemies, because of a unique system known as the Revenge Value System, which is hidden in the game, causes all enemies to be quite reactive to your attacks, having even some of the smallest, seemingly insignificant enemies pose a threat, so you have to be smart and careful. Using Cure is a huge advantage you might want to use. The combat is so intense and engaging. The combat system of Kingdom Hearts has so much physics put into it. It feels like you feel the weight of the Keyblade with every attack and every hit. Sora has so much weight to his character. You can really feel him holding that weapon. Every time he moves, and especially every time he attacks, each attack has much weight movement behind every solitary hit. You see, those elaborate acrobatic animations and movement executed to near perfection, playing into the gameplay dynamic with an intense and engaging combat system that keeps you coming back for more. The weight and movement to the combat is heavy, weighty, and has so much movement and weight behind it, it's outstanding. With this, it is designed quite well, with balancing attack patterns, movement, and so many different animations and attack techniques from enemies that you have to manage the mechanics of the gameplay. In order to beat enemies, you have to pay attention to their movement, attacks, and patterns in gameplay. They have these acrobatic movement and animations behind attacks. Plus, it plays into a balanced and refined combat that managed to put these two together. Not only are the animations acrobatic and outstanding to see, they are also balanced, so when you fight, you are not putting yourself in danger. The animations work so well, you can remain safe after attacking, and it's balanced and works really well. The animations are not just acrobatic, they are also well made. and design. They are balanced, as you don't feel like you're just doing insane animations that are for flashiness. No, the combat is so well balanced that these attacks, although they look acrobatic, they are still balanced and refined, and fit into the combat mechanics, and affect enemies quite well. The thing about combat systems that if you make them flashy, they can tend to put characters in danger. In Kingdom Hearts, the combat system is so refined and balanced that these techniques and attacks are not just flashy for the sake of being flashy, as they are so well made that you're not put in any danger. Other combat systems might make it flashy, but their combat ends up putting you in danger because of how flashy it is. And depending on how long they end their animation, Sora ends his animations just fast enough to give you enough time to move out of the way of attacks. It's that balanced, it's that refined. It is one, if not the single most refined combat system ever created in video game history, with multiple abilities and attack mechanisms and freedom of choice, action RPG-wise. The only game that could compete with this level of refined combat design is Kingdom Hearts 2, but that's another story. The game is a step ahead of the game in that department. Again, that's another story. Kingdom Hearts has so many different choices of gameplay and different worlds to traverse through. The platforming is really good. One thing people always say about the very first Kingdom Hearts is that it's really annoying, especially in Deep Jungle, of course. They always go there. What they say is, ooh, it sucks the platforming wasn't good. It let you climb different objects, interact with the environment, with your friends, to open trinities. It was crazy. It let you traverse before your eyes and find secrets, hidden areas, and secrets and hidden bosses, to test your skills. And it had an insane level of content that could last months, if not years. It was not open world, it was linear. This came out in the year 2002 with this level of innovation in its world design. The platforming is really good, with many different worlds having different methods of traversing. You climb, jump on vines, and do all kinds of stuff. Jump through all kinds of areas with smooth mechanics and great platform. The platforming is pretty good, and the worlds are so large in size, especially for the year the game came out. That's pretty huge, multiple worlds to explore and travel through. Wow, that's a lot of space and a large environment, and it was on PS2, it was linear, and it came out in 2002. The platforming was pretty good, and was unique for each world. They all had their own platforming and level design. The worlds were so vast, large, gorgeous, so the artistic direction and the graphical effects were outstanding. Some of the best effects for the gaming era of that time. It looks beautiful even today. Go to Hollow Bastion, look around, its unique artistic direction. Look at the Bazaar Room in Kingdom Hearts, look at the level design. Look at all these levels, the platforming, the areas, the placements, the artistic direction, the incredible graphical effects that were ahead of their time. This was incredible, especially for the PS2, and it's a linear game. With this much freedom, people talk about the level of choice in Kingdom Hearts 2, and I agree. However, what about the level of choice that was in just the first game? What in the world? Look at all these look at all these combos, moves, techniques, attacks. Look at all the magic, the summons, the abilities, and special techniques. Look at all the choice the game action RPG mechanics give you. This game is a masterclass of action RPG design, with some of the most amount of choice and some unique gameplay design choices that were unconventional for their time. This game did a phenomenal job fleshing out its action RPG design to a level that soared it above almost every action RPG ever made. This game did a fantastic job of immersing you into its world and environment, with some incredible interactions between the characters and the story. These interactions are well written and even thought-provoking. Back then, when you went into a Disney world, the storyline of Kingdom Hearts would connect with that world, so it served a true purpose and had unique stories only exclusive to Kingdom Hearts world. The Disney worlds had meaning, and the characters from Disney had a huge narrative impact. The storytelling they use in Kingdom Hearts is simple, yet extraordinary in its execution. It soars itself to being some of the most thought-provoking dialogue and storytelling ever put in video game history. Profound themes and philosophical concepts, storytelling that got dark, intense after great build-up and tension, characters who developed and changed over time. And they say Sora didn't go through character development in Kingdom Hearts 1. They are so wrong about that. Hollow Bastion when he lost the Keyblade and he had to learn what the true power really meant were the people around him, not the Keyblade. When he had to develop over time from everything he went through in many worlds, each world showed him something and he learned from the experience, and you saw maturity in his character, especially at the second half and the end of the game. So that accusation is so off. They don't know what they're talking about. Some of the most profound moments came from Sora's developing as a character and learns from his experience, such as Hollow Bastion. When Goofy and Donald decided to go with Sora, who originally they were willing to leave him when he didn't have the Keyblade, as if their friendship was only a matter of the mission. That showed true bravery and development of not only Sora, but even Donald and Goofy. You see, Goofy is the voice of reason. He's not just goofy. He's not just cartoony, like what you see in the cartoons. Yes, he is still loyal to his character, but he is given the voice of reason and even wisdom, and thus given more depth. They actually fleshed out these characters really well. Donald, being a temperamental hothead, and didn't even want to be friends with Sora. He just wanted to get to the king, because Sora had the Keyblade. That's a whole new dynamic. Donald, again, loyal to his character, but is given more depth in his character, as he is tough, bold, and has a really smart mouth, and has a sharp tooth, yet he is given depth to his character. The dynamic between Donald, Sora, and Goofy is so well written, with incredible moments that show the beautiful fusion of Disney and Final Fantasy. The chemistry is so iconic. It soars above its own medium. It feels like its own genre. They've mastered the feel of Disney and mastered the feel of Final Fantasy and put it together with great chemistry and a unique story. Man, was this story breathtaking, touching, powerful, well written, and it's one of the most thematically resonant stories ever told in video game history. Riku's story was outstanding, starting off as the rival to Sora and always was ahead of the game and on top of Sora at every turn. When he goes off the island and Sora goes off to search for him, he goes through his own journey through the darkness and even meets with some of the most profound Disney villains that ever graced the screen. They manipulate him more into turning over to the darkness, and Riku goes through this based off of wanting to find Kairi. It's incredible, with some of the best storytelling in the entire game, and shows a level of characterization that's soared ahead, and it was written quite well. With incredible interactions and moments where you felt what Riku was going through, and really got to know his character, and you didn't want to see him turn. They've got amazing interactions with some of the best characterizations in the entire story. Spoiler alert for you that have not played this video game Relic. You must skip or leave the video now, or restart. Do whatever you want, but I'm going to spoil some stuff, just warning you now. So, you ready? Here we go. At the end of the world, Sora goes through some of the most profound character development and moments of characters being in the pit of darkness itself. From what Sora experienced, he had to mature and learn from his experiences in order to face this threat. The stakes were so high, with some incredible build-up and storytelling to boot, making the experience all the more immersive and engaging. Sora finally faces Ansem after he finally faces him by learning from his experiences. He then has one of the most thematically resonant video game endings of all time. This ending is so beautiful and is so freaking sad. This is one of the single greatest endings in video game history. It was so resonant and impactful. Sora had no choice but to not only let go of Kairi, but of Riku too. Riku finally fights back against the darkness, and he even goes with the king to seal the door to darkness. But when he does this, he is then stuck on the other side of the king. Sora goes to Kairi after freeing her heart. Sora actually became a Heartless, a creature that eats other hearts. They have none, or have been consumed by darkness. Sora became this when he stabbed himself with a special Keyblade, a Keyblade that releases hearts. When he did this, he finally freed Kairi's heart. He had it the whole time, dating back, connecting with the scene in the beginning of the game. When Kairi looked at Sora and phased through him, he didn't realize it at that time, but that's actually when it happened. Sora looks at Kairi after her heart is freed, and she is returned to Destiny Island, where Sora cannot go. He is now in the realm of darkness with Goofy and Donald. He can't go back. It put me to tears. It was the saddest shit ever. Some of the best storytelling ever. It was so sad and poetic and resonant, and wow. I was in tears. They held hands one last time, and I believe she even gave him a keepsake, the Oathkeeper. I believe Sora gave it back to her. And then it was over, or was it? And Sora, Donald, and Goofy travel through the realms and find something unexpected, but that's another story for another time. It ends after this point, and it's one of the greatest and saddest video game endings of all time. This game is one of the single most important video games ever made, and proving they could combine different genres and creative mediums and put them together. Although seemingly unconventional, it still works so well. It had its own style, its own feel, its own world. This game is a masterclass of storytelling, gameplay, and Kingdom Hearts 1 is literally one of the greatest games of all time. This is what I'm laying down, and this was Tarragon. Thank you for watching. And hey, I got a Patreon, and you would help out the channel tremendously. Getting a new mic, new material, and a terabyte drive. Things to make the channel better, and you'd help out tremendously. Thank you for tuning in. This was Tarragon, and I am now out this piece. Thank you for watching.